never played with an AD carry support. He's never put Kellen in that role or in that position. He's only played Enchanter supports, the Nami, the Yuumi, and the Lulu. So the bottom duo for D plus Kia hasn't really been shown. There hasn't been that much variety here. And as you can see, Lucian off the board. No strong side here with the Caitlyn. And Guangdong Freaks, I think, picking blue side here going, oh, if you want a handshake, then we're going to take the Yuumi. We're going to have that advantage. D plus Kia identifying, okay, not going to allow that to happen. Taking the Elise off the board here too. And I want to see Deft play Varus. I want to see more. I want to see some variety here on the bottom side because there are so many different ways to win those 2v2s. Deft, the best AD carry player right now in the LCK, but he's just been limited by these bans. And once again, 3 bans thrown in. They're not playing Varus.
No, they are definitely not playing Varus. But the tree has been left up. Likely a first pick here, D plus Kia. As far as the meta champions are concerned, Zeri's still available, Siva's still available. But I'm with you, man. I kind of want to see either the Varus that Deft has always liked to pull out. Lethality Varus has been in his back pocket forever, but is going to be banned away this game. But it's Ezreal has been great. You know, there are a lot of picks that he could definitely bring here towards this bottom side. He's been playing a bit of Draven recently as well, as Zeri is locked in, so it sort of comes to mind.
Yeah.
His Kalista was always very dangerous.
His Kalista is super dangerous, right? And that's a pick that comes to mind to me. If we're talking about just scaling, yeah, why haven't we seen Ezreal yet? It's very strong right now in this meta, especially with Karma. We saw aiming rip Rion to shreds previously.
Oh, they didn't ban Master Yi.
Are going to see the Maokai ban come through, or Maokai pick come through because Guangdong Freaks at the last moment prioritized Zeri. I think we're going to see Sivir here. I don't like it. I don't want it. Because selfishly, I think it's very strong. Glad to be wrong. You mentioned the Draven. And we could have a Draven Kalista lane here, potentially as well, as Guangdong Freaks now likely have to lock in that Lulu. And it's very face-up here on blue side. Red side having that extra counter pick here before we go to the second phase.
Yeah, it's going to be Sejuani the decision as well. A lot of people do really like pairing the Wukong with the Zeri. But into the Maokai, I think wanting to have a bit more of that front line, the ability to stand in front of your carries, get them through the Nature's Grasp is pretty important. So Sejuani's going to come in. Young Jay happy to do so. Is now Lulu likely going to be picked up, and we'll see where Kellen's going to go as far as his pick as well.
Yeah,
Soraka considered as a preemptive option into a theoretical Heimerdinger?
I like the Soraka and the Lulu. I think Zilean is a bridge too far at this stage in this meta with how snowbally fights can be. The res isn't going to get you anything, as we'll see Jace blind here. A flex pick between Showmaker and Kana, of course, in this draft. But this does mean Damwon, or rather D plus Kia, are keeping that last possibility of maybe a Kalista support. You just don't know. Could be Heimerdinger. Very difficult for Guangdong Freaks to actually draft around that hidden support right now, knowing that D plus Kia want to have strong side on bottom.
And I know that you were with me on this one because we did see our first Renata of the season very recently.
Yeah.
And that just makes you think of Kellen every single time.
Every time.
Could certainly be a possibility for him as well, as Kassadin is banned. That sort of blows my mind. But D plus Kia are on the red side. That does give them counter picks, so Guangdong Freaks would have to play face up. They've already locked a top lane, likely to lock in a support next.
Yeah, I think
that's sort of how it goes.
This is safe, and it opens up more flexibility for Guangdong, because we know Guangdong have already shown their hands once with Bulldog's counter pick, and you just don't want to walk face first in this one on blue side.
Yep.
Keep it down, keep it out, and
oh Wolf, I'm really frightened.
Is it a Kalista ban?
Ooh, could be. Because I think Renata makes the most sense just because I have a feeling that Kellen wants to play it and they play it with Draven all the time.
It's very strong with Draven, obviously very strong with Kalista for the same reason that we've talked about in the past in other metas. The Pyke has been one that's constantly banned against the Draven, and Kellen says, to hell with all you guys' ideas, I'm playing a melee support.
Yeah, bring me the Blitzcrank. I love it.
Thresh would be so interesting. Gives a lot of value to Jace, who can, you know, obviously acceleration gate, blast, and then go in deep and then get pulled out to safety. But it's just going to be the boring Heimerdinger pick here. Very strong, very standard. But I thought perhaps D plus Kia had more in the tank with this one.
I mean, they did, but why not just pick the best option? Is, I think, their mindset. So you can see Kellen wasn't super psyched about it, but still going to be happy to have a lot of lane control here. Silas being the consideration. Showmaker, of course, one of the best Taliyah players that we have here in the LCK.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the massive amount of Taliyah value here in this game, definitely does well into the side.
Very tricky to catch a Zeri, and Sylas can, obviously push the Taliyah out of team fights very well. Akali's still up, Azir's still up, right? These are other picks we have seen the Sylas, even though it haven't necessarily been a historically strong matchup for them. Depends on the player, depends on the game. As Camille will be the lockdown option here. Interesting choice, will threaten the Jace a lot inside. So when you're trying to, of course, set up for flanks, can be a big problem. Now the Jace can still go mid here into the Sylas, so we could see something like a big front line, right? A Sion, an Orin here for Kana, and then just say, all right, yeah, we have a Heimerdinger in this draft. We don't have a ton of magic damage.
We're going for the skill matchup here by the looks of things. I think KDF are in a difficult situation, right? Because they knew that the Jace was flexed many times before. And so you do have to play around that being in either top lane or mid lane. Kana very proficient Showmaker as well. And so the Camille is sort of picked as like a, well, if it's Jace top, I'm kind of okay. And otherwise, I feel all right picking it to whatever.
I'll be honest, I think flexing the Jace mid here makes a ton of sense. We're playing Jason to Sylas. You have, obviously, a bit of risk, on the top side of playing Jason to Camille in a long lane. You're going to be under a lot of pressure. You're trying to play around bottom side. What I don't like here is the Fiora and how this draft is going to work for team fights. In side laning, you need to get this Fiora ahead to actually win comfortably against the Camille and have it.
Yep.
And I would have much rather seen a better engaged champion, like a Kennen even, or something like a Sion or a frontline tank. Now, nameplate's very relevant here in terms of how these drafts are going to play out, but I do have to say, if we remove them, I like the draft of Guangdong Freaks a lot more. I think it has a lot of scaling options. I think it has the Sylas, which is so strong right now. It's such a great front line. And if there's anything that goes wrong for this Fiora on the top side, the Camille side laning just kind of counteracts what the Fiora brings to this draft anyway. So a lot of volatility in what D+K brought together here. Now, we know they're the stronger team mechanically. We know they're the veterans. But if something goes wrong here, Guangdong Freaks have a very stable and safe, easy-to-play draft.
I agree with you. And they play 1-3-1 very well. They have a Sylas, right? You talk to Valdez, he's going to say that's enough. That's the win condition right there, and I don't blame him. It's Bulldog as well. A lot of agency for this young prodigy type player in the mid lane. Definitely a lot of good things. But the Fiora, to me, is a fire versus fire pick, right? Like, you see the Camille, you're like, you're going to try and split? Well, I'm going to play Fiora. I'm going to split, but I'm going to do it gooder than you. We'll see whether he can as we hop onto the Rift here for Game 1. All right, D+K fans out in force, but not low voices for the Guangdong Freaks fans as well. You saw them in our intro that you gave a bit of a nod to in our previous series, Wolf. I think it's also fantastic that we get to have a little bit of a check-in with the fans coming to LoL Park. And yeah, the Guangdong Freaks fans, definitely a lot of Bulldog fans. And I think by the end of this season, that number will have quadrupled as well, because this guy is so fun to watch.
He is such a good player. And he's played the Sylas only once this season. He's played 6 games of Victor. We always mention the stat because he's played it more than anyone else, and he's trying to get lane advantage. But in this lane, where the Jace is flexed mid, he will not have control in the early parts. He will actually have to sit on the back foot, which is not his playstyle. It's not how he likes to play the mid lane, but that's the draft he's been given. I worry, and I'll say it here now, is before the fights really start breaking out, before the minions crash here, the Draven pick and the Jace pick together can be quite strong, because obviously the Jace can chip away at those health bars, so the Draven, once he gets into range, he can finish them off. If he has a nice lead, he obviously spikes much earlier than Zeri, especially if he gets an early cash-in. But if D+Kia fall behind in this game for any reason, especially the Jace here, I think, will the damage be enough? Will you be able to, against Sylas and the skating Zeri, actually be able to weave those autos in here as the Draven that Deft is playing? Is a big question I have here for D+Kia. One, I think they should be able to answer if they can maintain a lead early, stack some Drakes. But if they cannot, it becomes very tricky.
It's very true. Deft has also had mixed results on this Draven over his career as well. But what we saw when it was Viper playing it last time around, the Draven was... He does struggle into a lot of range, but what you can see on the Guangdong Freak side is not a lot of range. Yes, they do have engage range, things like that. Deft has the cleanse, so Glacial Prison not going to be something that he needs to worry about quite as much, and I think he will have a little bit more room to move in this game as the Draven than what we have seen in previous Draven drafts.
I'm really glad he did take the cleanse, because sometimes you want to sacrifice that to get more lane dominance with picks like this, but absolutely correct in this situation to keep that, because if you get caught by Sylas, Sejuani, you're done. That's the end of it. The damage is gone. Jace won't be able to. Jace could do some good burst, but the sustained damage in a real 5v5 where you're not just poking isn't going to be there.
Yeah. Well, Bulldog just holding onto his wave will be able to take that cannon. All the best players can. Chains aren't going to land, though, as Showmaker pretty happily hanging out in this lane, getting stuff done. Sylas is always a looming threat anytime he is there, as do, I think he just threw a hookshot at Canna. That looked a bit weird.
Yeah, it's like using the hookshot in Zelda on a thing that can't attach it to anything.
Yeah, right? It's like when you're out of arrows.
You don't have the red dot, you're like,
yeah, and you start shooting the enemies and they go blue and you're like, wait, it doesn't do damage, just stuns them, it's so annoying. And then you just keep doing it over and over again because you don't have very many other options and you can't slash them with your sword. Yeah, it's kind of what it sort of felt like there. That took us on a... Yeah, that was
we like
bit
Zelda.
deeper than it needed to be.
We like Zelda here, I don't know. Showmaker playing this very carefully, trying to pull the wave back to his turret. And Bulldog was actually manipulating the wave towards his side earlier, and now Showmaker's going to do the same to him and kind of abuse the range advantage here. And Bulldog just going to have to, like I said before, sit back in this matchup a little bit.
Yeah, and that's going to be the early game, right? I think that Tain and Jun might be the ones on the receiving end of a lot of the pressure, or at least it feels like they should be. We do have Canyon lurking towards this top side, looking for an opportunity. Oh my goodness.
This is how you get the Fiora ahead.
Yeah. And I think he's expecting a... Here it is. This counter gank timing is just insane. Dudu is mega dead. As, okay, never mind. Canna is going to be able to pick it up. There's the lunge. That's the first blood. Canyon's brain is so big, Wolf.
He just literally sees the future. We actually need to make sure he hasn't already played this series before.
Yeah.
The vision they set up early allows them to know the pathing of this, and they know that they're trying to play around top side, because you're not going to get much, as in early game Sejuani here, bottom side, obviously, with the Zeri and Lulu. Pre-6, there's nothing you could do here. There's no play. This is not an Elise game. It's not a draft where you can kind of Lee Sin gank and punish that Draven, Heimerdinger, and do some extra burst damage. So it's likely he's pathing top here. They have a lot of vision set up, and then Canyon just is willing to sacrifice time and kind of Malrong it for a second to set the trap, right? And you stay in the brush long enough there, you wait for the gank, and you have perfect gank assist right in this situation with the damage here. And look at how far away, like they're just completely disjointed here because Canyon comes out so quickly. Kana starts the trade early, pulls him in, and Youngjae, because he's taking the long wraparound, he just can make no impact here whatsoever.
Yep, and the hookshot was good, did avoid the traps that were set there by Canyon, but the positioning, the initial move, it was just, he does see the future, I think. And it's a terrifying thought. I'll have to ask him about stuff. Hopefully things are going to be okay. He's going to move into the mid lane. Bulldog is going to get lit on fire, dashes away. He'll be fine. But does at least get himself an upgraded something.
Always have to respect the Heimerdinger, especially as the melee champion in matchups like this. Whenever the enemy AD carry is backed, you know the support's not in the shop. He's going to be coming over. He's going to be making an impact. We've seen this a lot. Heimerdinger just bullying melees.
Yeah.
It's one of those cases again where Bulldog grabs the Heimer ult, uses it.
Well, let's see whether Showmaker is going to be okay. The upgraded grenade is actually fantastic as Permafrost comes in as well. Showmaker walks it off. Never mind.
Yeah, losing Flash here can be very frustrating for follow-up ganks, especially when Youngjae hits 6, so that Youngjae's Flash there was great. I think Bulldog canceled an auto there, but it doesn't matter because Showmaker would have lived regardless. But taking his Flash away is still significant here. Good reaction time from Showmaker regardless. And Canyon coming down here, doesn't have 6 just yet, but this is a very far forward Zeri.
Yeah, and in he comes. Let's see whether Taeyeon and Jun can get themselves out of this one. There's the flash. The twisted advance comes down. Bramble Smash is great as the grenade comes in, and that is a very dead Lulu. Taeyeon trying to offer some damage back as Deft is like, no. You're not entering the lane. Man, Canyon is, he's a bit upset that he's not one of the people at the top with the 400 POG points like he's used to.
Yeah, I think he's, in this game, he's making a case to push it through. Now, he's lost a lot of farm due to his aggressive ganking and camping, but I think it's well worth it, right? It's 1-0-1 kill score, but takes away Flash here from June. Kellen commits the Flash to make sure he can get that follow-up stun, and this is going to be first rake to the Heimer comp. And Showmaker losing Flash here less significant now because you have a lot of control on the bottom side of the map. And look at Kana just holding this wave under his turret, so there's no angle whatsoever for Youngjae to find here, and he doesn't even have 6 yet.
It's one of the beautiful things about how that gank worked at the beginning as well, because that wave continued to push into Kana and meant that even afterwards was never under any threat. So Youngjae wasting his time a little bit there towards his top side.
Look at this angle.
This was the opposite.
Dodges the control ward here in the brush in the river, dodges the tri-brush with the blast cone. So yeah, you're very greedy to be up here this far, but you have the wards you feel to warrant that type of positioning. You're trying to trade well against this Raven. You're starting to get, you know, a little bit more active in the lane here. You're like, oh, I can make some of these trades, right? My Lulu's a little bit online. Can use the shields. No barrier in this, but still gets punished here by Canyon. He's just too smart. He knows the exact path.
Yeah, and the Flash Twisted advance to collect the Zeri while she was Jet Set Radio featuring, double Bramble Smash. All of it just looking absolutely fantastic. But it's the power of Maokai just a little bit. We did our segment yesterday, Chronicler and I, on the desk of the is it Varus or is it Vital? You know, was it the player? Was it the champion? It's a bit Maokai, but I think it's also a lot Canyon. Because his jungle sense is just so incredibly good. And then when you have the kit of a Maokai at your disposal as well, it's deadly complicated.
Now, Deft can impact this Drake, or rather this Herald, excuse me, with his ultimate here. Doesn't have to go up, but he is going to rotate over. Kellen has shown here in mid, tried to leech some of that experience to potentially get 6. He does not have it, but he's got turrets set up here to stop the rotation of the players. So even though Quantum start this first, they can't rejoin.
Well, Showmaker's going to find Jun. Bulldog fighting him, but as you can see, creates the range, creates the space. As rockets fly in, I think the Quantum Freak's going to have to give this one up. I think they've been stretched too thin. Taeun with some spare time on that bottom side. Don't throw your lives away in a mismatched team fight as the Draven throws out the Whirling Death. In comes Dudu. Let's see whether they can lock anyone down. The Lulu is going to provide the cash in before she can even do anything as Grand Challenge. We'll get the health bars all the way back up again. And now Youngjae is running away. Bulldog doing the same thing. It looks like it's going to be boar for dinner tonight as they decide that it's Youngjae that's going to go down. And Canyon will be able to grab that kill. Deft makes his way back towards the bottom side. D+K getting everything.
Yeah, just a very squishy roster here for D+K, I think, is why Quantum Freaks thought, like, okay, we could force this. As, like I said, Deft's ultimate, going to be impactful, even from the lane.
He cashed in for 600 gold just by farming
just by
bottom lane.
R. It's crazy. And look at the setup here. If we, like, freeze frame it here, you never walk into this. Showmaker blocks out the Silas. June takes a ton of damage. And this is just super clean here, of course.
How did they time the Whirling Death with the Nature's Grasp, Wolf?
And then, as Quantum, you're really trying to grasp sand here tightly with your fist because this is just a roster that has more power this early in the game. They have Heimerdinger turrets set up. The Silas has, or excuse me, the Jace, the Silas has no prio, doesn't actually have control. Showmaker, in fact, does. So they can both zone Bulldog out, but also put in so much extra damage to June. Yeah. This is a game that is very quickly off the rails.
Certainly is. And I want to sort of introduce a concept here as well, because D+K have a lot of what I like to think of as kind of conditional scaling. Draven,
that's actually a great way of putting it.
Right? Because you get way more money. So that means you get to 1 million items way before your opposition does. That's kind of scaling, right? Because in the late game, you get to like 6 items. And yes, from that point on, you're not scaling quite as much anymore. But if you've got 6 items and your opponent has 3, you've scaled, you know? And Fiora is a very similar thing when paired with, when into the Camille, because if you have an advantage, no one can ever fight you.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually a really good point, because Zeri has better scaling than Draven, but not if she can never play the game. The same, same is true, of course, of this, the Fiora versus the Camille. Like you said, like, it could be Camille has the advantage, whoever wins this gets the lead when you're fighting fire with fire, but Khan has been set up to have the lead. Yeah. And so conditionally, you've used the tempo of this draft to get these 2 champions who need money early ahead so massively that it's difficult to have a conversation about scaling with the Silas, who's got Rod of Ages now online, with the Zeri, who's hoping to have 3 items this game. When the lead is this big, this early, it snowballs even further. Yeah. You can see already in the side here at level 9, and we're 12 minutes into the game, and Dudu is struggling to play it.
Yeah. And oftentimes in a lot of matchups like this, right, you'll reach a point naturally where you'll start to win sides, right? And Bulldog is in a lot of trouble, so I'm going to have to hold my thought as he decides that he needs to go in. He's definitely dead, but he decided to do as much damage on his way out, not quite able to do anything of anything. And he will go down. D+Kia just continuing to put that pressure on. And yeah, it's just an interesting conversation, I guess, as, you know, every time, like, an early game composition needs to snowball to win, right? That's not the point that we're making. But what we're saying is that a lot of those win conditions disappear unless things go right into a composition like what D+ Kia put together.
That's why we were saying, too, that D+ Kia's composition is very difficult to pull off from behind, and if mistakes are made, we like Guangdong Freaks' draft here, but because everything has to go right. And Canyon said, I'm Canyon, it's going to go right, watch me do this. And it's been very clean, it's been very aggressive, it's been very successful here at 6-1 kill score right now, with only Kellen getting picked the one time. And like you said, if it's Fiora versus a Cassante, we know that the Fiora is going to have better time player. By default, even if Fiora goes 0-2, it doesn't matter. Eventually, it'll work. But when the Fiora is accelerated versus a Camille, you know it's going to go right too. So
yeah, and if the Camille was accelerated, for example, then it's very difficult for the Fiora to ever get back in that game. This time around, though, kind of feeling pretty happy. Wow, Def, that's a lot of damage. Definitely,
he's got a sheen on top of that.
Yeah, the shield bow Essence Reaver going to be the option for Deft. We saw a bit of the Eclipse to come through for a bit more of that health shred. Not going to worry too much about that this time around for Deft. We'll need Lord Doms pretty early though, given Sejuani's existence.
But if he gets another cash and gets a bunch more gold, he'll have it.
Oh, well, there's the grand challenge. I don't know how many options Dudu has here as Canna. That was just gorgeous.
Block him out.
Yeah, the lunge into the riposte so that he had actually nowhere to go. God, that was really well played by Canna.
Ghost timing's good. Blocks him from utilizing that, as you say, and Alcala just 2-0-2. By the way, started call. He's going to have that one.
So that's technically 3-0-2, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, he's going to have a whole set of fat gold here in a moment, and these turrets are going to start to disappear. This is going back to the Bulldog gank earlier, where he feels pretty safe because he's got June and Youngjae here. Decides to go in with this one, hoping he's going to get Wild Growth to turn this one around. Sadly, at this stage of the game, you are mistaken. You got a Rod of Ages, even game state, maybe. Guys, look at this Ghost here from Kana so he can block him. He's like, if you go for this, I riposte you. Sorry, lunge into it. Please.
You actually, like, that is checkmate.
And There's no play. There is no play.
No.
You are correct.
Yeah. Oh, man. Really,
there is no play that Dudu can make in that situation.
Well, he could have not been as far up the lane into a accelerated Fiora.
Ever since Kana pressed Ghost and riposte, though, yes.
Bulldog has the best ultimate in this game. Hijacked. That is definitely good news, but the good news kind of stops there. 5,000 gold is the lead at 15 minutes. That is very large. And Dudu continuing to fight Canna here. Canna very happy to take that as Dudu pushes himself towards the wall.
This is, you know, we saw the gap between Deft and Envy. Okay, hold on.
Okay, here we go. Hextech Ultimatum comes in. There's the Nature's Grasp. Canna trying to get one back, but it's not going to work. The punishment is there as Dudu, the one last edge, not going to be taken. Yeah, the heals for Canna.
A little bit of greed here. I think Kana's just not expecting this Silas rotation up to look for the gank here because he's so far ahead. He's like, there's no way they challenge me. And he comes over here at the same time as his Herald is spawning, so it's a twofold good play here for Guangdong Freaks, but I still don't think they win this fight. As Showmaker showed up here, Draven's in mid, and you're still not online right now as Guangdong Freaks, so it's a small victory here. A lot of shutdown gold going over to this Camille, but she's still not in a position where she starts winning this one. And small victories, right?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a good, it's definitely the beginning of the good news story, but it's not enough to make Guangdong fans feel relaxed at this point in time. Ken is going to make his way back down, and Shirley will be started up.
The Draven in this comp, too, has mostly just been an ult button and occasionally laning against the opponents while getting free gold. Like getting that shutdown early, or the cash in, excuse me, early, means that Deft is always a threat, and even though you won't see the damage numbers just yet, we might not in this game, depending on how one-sidedly D+ potentially win this game. The threat of the Draven is so strong that the Zeri just has to respect it, has to be away, cannot actually contest, cannot actually fight even with the Fiora gone. You're like, that's not a team fighting problem. Team fighting problem is Showmaker, who's got an Eclipse, and this Draven that's super accelerated. We can't be there even if we kill a Fiora. It's a 5v4 quote-unquote, but your Zeri is a paperweight at this point. Your Silas is still so far away from being relevant that you just have to give this Herald up.
Yep. No way that they can contest that. Not the end of the world losing a Herald, as now Canyon is going to grasp at Bulldog, gets the flash out, but that is a turret gank, and I think they might have a chance of taking it down unless D+ Kia respect and back away, which they are going to. Essence Reaver completed here for Deft. cheeky dagger as well. A couple of items for the Draven. Feeling very, very happy. Still needs another cash in to feel very, very good about how this mid game's going to look. But, you know, can't have everything. And he's now going to move back and pick up this wave.
Def's like, oh yeah? Can't have everything? We'll see. We'll see when that cash in comes through. Also, D+K 2 Drake lead, 2 very relevant solo elemental Drakes, 2 of the best souls. So of course we get Chemtag.
Yeah, it's always Chemtag.
But they have such a lead that this is not about like, oh, we have to actually get a good soul because we need to force fights. They're so ahead that they can force fights, but they can also walk away. So they're so patient on this one. Canyon?
Yeah, getting closed in on. Chains are going to land. Max range, great wild growth as well to keep Bulldog alive. Canyon is still up though. Taehoon having to get out of there because Def does so much as the Whirling Death comes in. Def is going to take matters into his own hands, and it's in fact Showmaker that gets the kill. Dudu going to be able to escape this time around, but for how long is the question? Riposte comes in, not going to be able to block the Hextech ultimatum. He's getting healed for so much 1v3, but Kwangdong Freaks, with a few extra members, will be able to get it done.
A little bit unfair, the polymorph there. A little bit of a, you know, ruining the gentleman's 1v1 agreement there, but is taken out for a second time this game. It is a lot of money, again, getting over onto this Camille. But ultimately, D+K, again, cool, you killed the Fiora. We won the real fight, and now your Zeri still not online. Can't fight me here. Deft is just like, I'm going to walk up this Drake by myself with Showmaker being somewhat in the area. And Canyon didn't have ult in that last skirmish. He has it now. And this is just a free third Drake going over to D+K. No objectives for Kwangdong at the stage. And you know, you can spend a lot of resources killing this Fiora, which means in a way she's getting more value than you normally get early on in the game. As she's not killing the deep turrets yet, she's not killing inhibitors, but she's forcing a lot of reactions, and how much survivability Kana has here. This makes
I'm so proud
This is an inside joke between me and Adam. Alright, here we go. This is the fight again. Canyon, so tanky at this stage, and look at how much damage Showmaker does here at the front, just in melee form with the AoE. They can't kill him. Zeri doesn't do damage. Bulldog is the one who takes a brunt of the damage when he initially goes in, so you can't do anything, and then in this situation where Kana overextends, so much has to be expended here to kill him. They look at D+K, they're like, free backs? Yep. They're telling Kana right now in comms, I'm sorry, man. You are going to die, but we're going to get it back, or we're going to set for this break. It's pretty easy.
And it was really nicely timed, the Hextech ultimatum. Obviously, Dudu was actually waiting for the riposte this time. Presses Hextech ultimatum, avoids that CC, and then all of that healing not going to be enough. So, still silly from Kana. Probably shouldn't have been pushed up that far, but that's an nitpick. And D+K is still in a commanding position in this game. 3 Drakes to their name, as well as, you know, some Rift Heralds, all that sort of stuff. Feeling very happy about how the early game has gone. But do need to close it out. There is still, you know, the Zeri situation. You never really know how that one's going to go. And Silas as well, no slouch in his own right.
And he's almost done with his Rod of Ages, building straight into damage second here. It's going to be a while before he makes the impact that Showmaker has made in this game already. Surviving is the win condition here. It's why you see so many side lane champions with Zeri, because if you have a bad game state, maybe you could side lane your way back into it. You could slow the game state down. You could pull D+K off of objectives. But because this Fiora was accelerated so early, yes, Dudu has caught up quite significantly, and it is kind of a fairer fight now here on the side. There are some ways, you know, in a normal draft like this, in a normal game state, an even game state, to go, okay, it's fine, the Draven's strong now, but we'll be okay later.
Yeah.
But D+K are kind of like, yeah, during that interim while you guys are waiting, we're going to just take the whole map. They're going to take an early Baron. That's the plan here. That's the hopes and goals, where they're going to have some vision set up here after they push bottom side. Showmaker setting up some threats here with these turrets. And for Kwangdong Freaks, you need some good picks. You know, you need to get some gold on this area. You need a weird, awkward fight where we could certify the Zeri, right? We need to see 2 kills here for Taehoon, and we're like, okay, now we can get a third item real quick right now, because he needs it very fast.
Yeah, Young Jake coming on over with Jun here as Dudu. Now going to Hextech ultimatum the Jace. He does get hit immediately by that Glacial Prism, but now Deft and Canyon are making their way in. Kana is looking for revenge as Dudu is very dead. Going to deny the assist, so I guess there's that. And D+K are now going to take down this outer turret. The Silas getting some spare time top lane though, and that is kind of feels like an overinvestment on the D+K side.
Yeah, and the Drake isn't up or anything like that, so D+ aren't going to be able to turn this into a big win right afterwards. So it does feel like a small victory here for Kwangdong Freaks, and they wanted this push so badly for the pick I was talking about. They wanted the easy gold, right? To try to get this Camille once again more money because she's got 3 kills. And maybe if the Camille gets another one here and you get another pick, like actually this goes well, you know, maybe we take Showmaker out off the map, get some of that shutdown money. But Canyon is here, Deft is here, and the ultimate from Canyon alone is why AD carry support are like, nope. Team Engineer like, it's doomed. The play failed. And yes, you bought some space to get your Zeri some farm in mid. Yes, you bought some space for Silas to finish his Rod of Ages. Shadow Flame's now done. Now you got to use it. Now you got to have a good team fight here. You've tried the skirmish plan. You've tried to actually force D+ into some awkward fights so you can get some money. And I think Kwangdong have played this horrible situation very well. But now you still have to team fight it. And your Zeri's not going to have that 3rd item before this Drake. You wanted it so badly, but you're not going to get it.
No. And it's Chemtech ult. So, of course, sad Chemtech noises once again. D+ Kia not very happy about having that one. But, you know, I guess there is some value to it. Oh, not really. I mean,
you would like
maybe,
to...
like, Sap Sipper. There we go.
You would like to deny this as Kwangdong because you don't want the Elder to spawn quickly. Like, if you actually deny this, you get 5 more minutes with this comp to get it a little bit more online. So we would like to make sure D+ Kia has a later spawn timer, is what we could say as to why Kwangdong would really want to fight for this. But they're not. Their comp isn't fully there yet, even with the stopwatch now for Bulldog.
Yeah,
and Jace has got his last whisper.
They might just need to fight, and because otherwise you give over a Baron. You have to. It's really rough. They are going to go for something here. Deft just fighting back though, standing his ground, and he doesn't have to worry about a lot of the things that Dravens often do, and that is getting outranged because doesn't really get outranged that much this game.
Showmaker is going to let the minions do the work on that turret as he just comes over here, doesn't have to TP or anything. And D+ Kia are like, our 3 Drake lead affords us the ability to say, we can rush this Baron down, you guys are a million miles away.
Yeah, and now Nature's Grasp can be used. It's going to happen on both sides. There is the Baron, it's gone. And that was a checkmate. There was nothing that they could do about that one. Shock Blast onto Bulldog. He's not going to be able to get in due to immediately over the wall.
And they don't get the Drake. They don't get the Drake either. Camille loses TP.
Oh, but there is a Glacial Prison. Twisted Advance is going to be the response as Deft immediately just kills Jun once again. Another cash in. Like he's just ordered it from a cafe or something like that. As Taeyun is going to be challenged. Kanna is going to get over there. Oh, the flash has to be used, but it does. And that is great news. Rhyme unintentional. And D+ Kia are just going to get escorted to this Drake and take that one out. Taeyun has to go back. Lucky to be alive.
Good flash here, but Baron buff minions now activated online here in the mid lane. D+ Kia can take this Drake whenever they want. They not concerned about it, not interested in it very much at all. And you saw that there was a split call here from Kwangdong Freaks. Like, can they do the Baron that quickly? We have TP on Camille. We'll send her over to the Drake. You can see Camille on the Drake right now backs off when these Nature's Grasp are traded. But your engage is just counteracted by the defensive Nature's Grasp, which is better. The TP comes through here for Dudu. He just instantly hook shots out. He's like, I wish I didn't come. But you're here.
Yeah.
And, I mean, committing the ult here from Youngjae is just hopeful that maybe they can get out. Maybe they can survive. Taeyun escapes barely with his flash here in just a moment. It's really clean from him, actually. Good reaction time on the riposte. And he actually does survive, which is pretty massive because he gets out of the shock blast. But huge win once again for D+ Kia. Their comp is well and truly ahead. And they're using it very well here on these team fights. Good macro decision to just go straight for Baron instead of a worthless Drake.
Yeah, Deft as well now with the BF sword as well as a crit cloak. So he's very close to Infinity Edge 4th item. And with this build, I mean, he's doing absurd amounts of damage. Canyon looking for Kwangdong Freaks. Is the Whirling Death going to be used to cancel some backs? Youngjae, that Frost Armor not working out super well as the saplings come in. Not a lot of options here for the Sejuani. He's going to get slowed down. The grenade was fantastic from Kellen. Just a bit of a shout out, but he does have the Mega Blast Cone.
And D+ Kia is not interested in taking the Drake at all, by the way, just playing around top side here, using the last part of this Baron buff. Taeyun might grab this turret bounty, because Kanna's here alone. But what D+ Kia could do bottom side here is quite significant. Now, Dudu's going to pick this one up too. And now D+ Kia really need to get something done here, but I think they could be able to force the inhibitor, because somebody's going to have to back. If they're trying to take Drake right now, I think this inhibitor versus one Chemtech, one Elemental.
I mean, they got outer and mid, outer and bot, bounty gold, something. Money is important, but your Nexus, it's the 50 gold inside your Nexus that you really do need to protect in the end. This Nexus turret going to go down. D+Kia will bring the rest of Quandong Freaks back. So they're not going to give this one up. But Canna is going to be able to push up mid. So that is an exposed inhibitor. Top lane inhibitor is going to go down, making the best of a bad situation, I guess. As Nature's Grasp comes through, largely to zone, but is also going to catch out the Sejuani just a little bit. The poke advantage here from D+Kia is just so large.
There's no risk. There's no risk of a flank. There's no risk of a Silas coming behind you because you have Nature's Grasp. You can just hold that there. They use it to retreat. You know the flank wards have mostly largely been cleared, and there are some obviously on the Drake. You know that, but it's so far away because you know the Drake was just taken. So you're like, okay, there's going to be some wards over there, but it's so far away from where we're pushing top and mid. We're not pushing bottom. Notice we're pushing top and mid and getting those inhibitors down on the opposite side of the map. D+Kia took a 3 Drake lead and then used the Drake against Quandong Freaks. Like, yeah, you guys want to take this so badly. We're not interested. We're just going to leave it up. And the second you try to cross for it, we're just going to get more because we have the stronger comp. We have really good push with this Jace, and 2 inhibs go down.
And also, you get to avoid any potential Elder Flip situation.
Yeah.
Right? You perpetually just force Quandong Freaks to take Chemtech Drakes. And you're like, well, nothing good is going to be spawning in that pit. All we have to do is make sure that we're prepped around Baron. And with 2 of these inhibitors down, I mean, there's no way that they're ever going to have any room. So in 2 minutes' time, super easy.
Now they can just 4-1
and grab it.
Yep, 4-1 on bottom side, get the last inhibitor.
Yep.
And Canyon's got his ult back up. This is the best sieging jungler that you're going to have in the game because he could just say, when I ult, the turret is mine, and if you guys try to flank, I say no.
I think he's going to do it pretty soon, as he's just waiting. Standing on a ward, so that's suboptimal. That's all right.
I don't know if they're really going to be able to punish him, though.
No. But they will know when he says that he wants to ult.
As you know, you see Dudu goes mid to push the Fiora back. Now she's just going to escort super minions on the opposite side of the map.
Well, here's Bulldog's Nature's Grasp. There are just grasping hands absolutely everywhere as there's the Whirling Death. Jun once again very close to death. This time will survive. So not another kill for Deft there onto the Lulu.
A lot of handshakes here, a lot of hand-holding. Perhaps the Quandong fans are hoping for the fan next to them to do some hand-holding because this one is looking pretty doomed.
Yeah. I mean, 3 items for Taeyun.
Yes, he did get there. And the objective is spawning in 45. The problem is you're going to have to deal with these super minions before you can actually fight your way towards that Baron. Which will be all D+Kia need to push this one in. 16 for Bulldog, right? He bought that Shadow Flame a while ago, sitting on the stopwatch, wants to build Zonias. I think he probably has enough gold in his backing right now. Maybe if he has that Zonias before this fight, he can have a really nice flank angle. There's a way. Actually buys into a Void Staff instead here.
I like that. Respect that. There is starting to be a lot more magic resist in this game, although not a lot of it like really built up, considering the Camille and Zeri threats on the side of Quandong Freaks. But still, D+Kia just need to get into position around this Baron, clear out vision, and wait, because super minions will largely do the rest as far as pressure is concerned.
These stopwatches here, look at the big gold differences. Okay, hold on.
All right, we're going to go for the side lane. We're going to look for Canna. Grand Challenge does get issued, but looks like Dudu might be able to have this one. Bulldog's going to come in. That's going to help lock it down. So Canna's dead. Teleport invested.
This is exactly what D+Kia want, is to put Kana down there because he can TP in if they commit to Baron. But if they commit to killing him, D+Kia have the fast track. Now, they actually decide not to start this one up, even though they have a ton of damage. Just don't want to flip this, don't want to leave it up to risk. Going to clear waves first. And I think a little bit of hesitation here for D+Kia, surprisingly, in this moment where I thought this is a moment of triumph, right? Kana brings 2. You already are on Baron. He has TP. If the Baron fight goes longer, he can actually come straight back into that fight. But now you've kind of just stopped entirely, and they get a kill and you get nothing.
Yep, and it would have been a 4v4 in the Baron pit considering Dudu had his teleport available, so I guess you can understand why they're respecting, but you can see, like, D+Kia have a 7,000 gold lead. They should know that they are very, very strong right now, and also eviscerate this Baron. I mean, they've got this Draven with massive amounts of items. Showmaker as well does a lot of damage. Canyon, the same. I mean, even Kellen does a lot of work.
Yeah.
So they're going to start it off now.
So timid on this Baron.
Yeah, true. Okay. That Shock Blast definitely hurt. Scanner's going to move in. Team fighting Fiora. It's not our favorite thing, but it may just work. We'll have to have a look. As Canyon does have his ulti back available yet again. They want to get some vision for it. Bulldog's going to steal one of his own. Yeah, as Quantum Freaks is showing signs of life here in
really
this,
are. I mean,
mid lane right now.
The comp is truly online, and if D plus Kia don't start this fight off with some big shock blast hits and it just goes into tanks, and you see Canyon here on the side trying to set up for Nature's Grasp, but Silas has the better, more lethal one as you're locked into that mid lane, can be very scary. So much respect being shown, and Young Jay is actually going to go ahead and take this Drake, and this is the go button that D plus Kia want. It's like, okay, no jungler here, no flips.
Yep,
Hana on the flank.
Trinkets either, as there is the Chemtech Drake. Bit of extra money, but I think this Baron is definitely going to go down as Sejuani can't make it into the pit. Once again, it's just secured by the Nature's Grasp combo. No one can enter. And yeah, Quantum will be able to now move over towards this inner turret. They get a little bit more money back there as well. We'll see.
Really handling this very well. Again, not in a great place in this game, and it's a second Chemtech Drake for Baron, but are you really going to win that fight? You're going to force your way through. You tried to in mid. D plus Kia too patient. The super minions did their work, so you end up losing control. Now those inhibitors have respawned, and now you're going to just go on defense duty here against D plus Kia with this Baron, and we might see those inhibitors get deleted very quickly here. But Quantum Freaks, the fact that we're 33 minutes into this game, and it has not reached its conclusion, and now Zeri has 3 items, soon to be 4, you know, it's winnable. It's winnable, and I think that 10 minutes ago, we said absolutely no chance, and it's still a small one. But the fact that we're still here is a good thing for Kwangdong fans.
Absolutely. I mean, D plus Kia really are kind of floundering this close, right? In order to win games of League of Legends, generally you need Kill a Nexus. They are going to look for inhibitors one more time. They have, of course, respawned.
And there's 2 stopwatches here on the most critical carries, right? Showmaker and Def both have those, so killing them, flanking them is going to be nigh impossible. So it's kind of unlosable here as long as you play it slow. Just to let the minions do the work here. As now Canyon with his ult back up, can just lock them out, hold onto this inhibitor.
Yeah, Showmaker doing a lot of damage here. Deft as well. They're able to lock down that first inhibitor. Extendo Beam onto Deft. Does a bit of damage there as Young Jay's going to get slowed down. Bulldog needs to be respected, so does Taeyoon. They are scary, but Young Jay's down extraordinarily low. In goes Canyon. Let's see whether they can actually find the fight. Nature's Grasp flying everywhere as Showmaker and Deft untouched so far. Dudu going to be the first to go down. Canyon, get over to the Grand Challenge Circle as Taeyoon's trying to have a Zeri moment. Deft, can you get any damage? He gets knocked up the Winston Thrust. Oh my goodness, Showmaker dives in and manages to shut him down. Taeyoon can't do it. They are just that little bit too far ahead. But man, that was close. That was inches, and it 100% shouldn't be. D plus Kia will win this game. A little bit of a hiccup towards the end, but in the end, dominance.
I will agree with your assessment. I think you put it perfectly. You said floundering a little.